Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Makoni.
With the launch of Makoni Entertainment and Makoni Competizone alongside Makoni Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MakoniSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Makoni Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Hello, my name's Aaron Brown from the Garage Shop in Denver, North Carolina. We're here at the famous Bonneville Speedway in Wendover, Utah. One of the most harshest environments on the planet to race in, and that's why we need the best tools Snap-on has to offer. What we use here to pump up the oil in our race engines to prime them is this Snap-on screw gun. With its variable speed and high torque, this allows us to spin our oil pumps up to 1,500 RPMs, creating 70 pounds of oil pressure, which helps us get everything settled in, nice and happy, and turn the hot oil through the engine. Compact, lightweight, and able to fit in really tight spaces. Its 9-position clutch allows us to torque things, nuts, bolts, from 8-inch to 50-inch pounds. Small size and high performance helps us get into many places on a race car where normal tools can't. Under the dash and the engine compartment, we also use this to drill a lot of holes in very tight spots.
A place in racing history unlike any other, with more iconic moments than just about any other racing facility in the world combined. Today we find ourselves at one of the pinnacles of motor racing anywhere in the world, the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway just outside of downtown Indianapolis. For tonight, the 8th round of the Garage Shop College Cup Series live on CIL. I want to welcome everybody in to the Ignition Zone pre-race show here tonight. I'm Alex Gagnon. Joining me tonight, Ryan Whitlock, the CSC director here. And Ryan, you are someone with a good bit of background here at Indy. Someone who I believe ran the full-length CIL Indy 500 the other day, if I'm not mistaken.
You are correct. I did not finish the full-length Indy 500, but I certainly attempted. Yeah, I ran here a few times, avoided the calamity that happened here a few seasons ago, and regularly run here as part of the Formula College Series. I don't think the Collegiate Sports Car Challenge is doing the oval anytime soon, but yeah, I know Indy and have been to it in the real world a few times as well.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful facility. I got to go once. It rained half the time I was there, but they got the race in. It was a good time nonetheless. While we're here getting settled in, Indy, coming up just up in a little bit. Let's take a look at the schedule to see how we've gotten here to this point. Last week, a fantastic showing from the field at Pocono Raceway, as we are just now dipping into the back half of the calendar. Indianapolis, the last really large track on the schedule here as far as ovals are concerned until the championship race in Auto Club at the end of April. So if you're someone who has that drafting sort of capability, Ryan, got to imagine you've had this one circled on the calendar for a while, because it's the last opportunity you're really going to get.
Yeah, Indianapolis is really unique in that it's 2.5 miles long, just like a Daytona or kind of sort of a Dega. But, I mean, it is not at all a traditional drafting superspeedway track. But I do still expect a lot of bump drafting to be going on the front and back straightaways. And really the last chance we're going to see all season of people doing it on both ends of the track all day.
Yeah, this is an opportunity I think a lot of people have had circled on the calendar, not only for the uniqueness that is Indy, but also with this being the third crown jewel race of the year. Obviously, we've already made our stops to Charlotte and the Daytona, Indy being the next stop on that journey.
Yeah, and it's certainly interesting how last season we ran the playoffs in the College Cup Series, but this season it's a regular points format. And while normally this would be kind of where people start making playoff pushes and getting a little desperate, with this regular season points format, I expect people, and we've seen people, drive smarter and more considerate of the points they're getting paid at the end of the race. So I think Indianapolis, although really unique compared to a lot of these other tracks on the schedule, I think it's still going to produce good racing, hopefully, fingers crossed, clean racing, as people really start to make long-term championship season pushes.
Yeah, and I think no one has been doing a better job of that as of late when it comes to the long season push here than last week's winner from Pocono, Daniel Nenny, picking up win number 4 on the season after going 3 in a row in races 2, 3, and 4 on the year. Back in victory lane, has himself atop the point standings once again, but it's not all that spread out. I mean, it's still a lot of positions to fight for in this top group at the moment. I guess I'll float this over to producer Christian as well, if we have a points look tonight or not. Does not sound like it, but that is A-okay on our end. We will get to that bridge when we get there. But Ryan, you've had the opportunity to run a couple races with the folks here who have been running the full schedule. What have you noticed this year versus last year when it comes to this change in format between the playoffs and now the full season points?
Cleaner. Honestly, the racing's been a lot cleaner, but I think, I mean, there have been occasional exceptions in certain races in certain parts of the field, but I think just this schedule is indicative of the fact that people have to put together a full season. The few races I have done, I think the last one I did was, I did New Hampshire. I'm trying to remember. Either way, it's been good. I've enjoyed part-timing. I think it's given me a lot of insight. Last race I did was Daytona. No, I think I did New Atlanta, but I might have wrecked out of New Atlanta, which sounds about par for the course. But Daytona was good. Like, for a super speedway, flat-out racing, and we had lots of green, and New Atlanta went completely green.
I still can't believe.
That I was literally at the gym looking on my phone, like, there's no way. But I think that might be a little bit of what we see tonight. 80 laps long, but fuel lasts about 38, so we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see who tries to make this a one-stop event versus a 2, and how that split's going to present itself. Timely cautions can destroy a fuel strategy play here at Indy, and especially with the line being such a knife edge to the scheduled distance here tonight. While we have a second here in the pre-show, we usually like to talk to someone in the field, get their thoughts on how they're feeling going into tonight, how their season's been going to this point. And tonight we get a bit of a special treat, a bit of a different look than we normally do. Someone who I believe is making one of their first starts here in the Garage Shop College Cup Series, but is no stranger to getting around Indianapolis, will be joined here by winner of the full-length Indy 500 from FC's winner, Trine University's Wyatt Burton. Hey there, Wyatt. You got a copy?
I gotcha.
Well, welcome to the Ignition Zone pre-race show. Welcome in. Thank you for joining us here. And I think we got to start with the bit that everyone's going to want to talk about a little bit, which is obviously your 500-miler win from not too long ago. Got it done in pretty impressive fashion. What was it like running the full distance here in CIL?
It was tiring, but it was actually the longest race I've ever done. But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed racing with the guys. It's always great.
And obviously, you know, won that by only a couple hundredths of a second. It came down to the closing laps after 500 miles of racing. And, you know, after getting it done there, we find you here ready to go on track again, this time in the College Cup Series size. What has inspired you to make the switch over here from open wheel to stock car racing for tonight?
Just the track. I actually saw not until this morning that you guys are racing at Indy, and I was panicking. I was trying to get accepted in the league, and Drew helped me get in about 3 hours ago, so we barely got in, but I like the track. I have never driven the next gen NASCAR on iRacing before, so this will be a huge challenge, but I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I got one question for you, Wyatt. Going from the IndyCar to this next-gen Cup car, I mean, the track stays the same, but what do you think is going to be the biggest challenge for you tonight, switching to this over 3,000-pound hunk of V8 monstrosity?
Well, I think the style of racing is going to be a lot different, but I think my biggest concern will be saving tires. I struggle with that a little bit in general, but I know here they're extremely important. I think that's going to be one of the biggest factors.
Well, with that being the case, I'm super excited to see the transition from open wheel to stock car racing here tonight, Wyatt. How confident do you feel for your chances tonight?
I've done about 20 laps of practice, and that's it. And it did not feel great, but we'll see how we can improve in the race. Realistic goal, I think I'm going to aim for a top 15 if I can survive somewhere in there. Top 15, top 10, I think would be great, but we'll see how it goes.
Alrighty, well, excited to see how it goes. I mean, looking at the timing table in practice, I think you've got the speed to make that happen, as long as, you know, to your point, cars fall the right way here, because historically the CIL in Indianapolis have had some pretty crazy pileups, but we also have not been here in quite some time, so maybe a different energy being brought to the track here tonight, but that's neither here nor there. Wyatt, anyone you'd like to give a shout out who here tonight before we get into qualifying?
Shout out to my parents. They're both watching. I let them know late notice, and they managed to find the stream. And then I think my grandparents are going to watch as well, so they'll have a little bit of fun tonight. We'll see what we can do.
Alrighty, Wyatt, thank you so much for joining us up here in the ignition zone. Wow, that's a really tough word to say tonight for some reason. Appreciate you joining us up here, and best of luck out on track here tonight. If things fall the right way, maybe we get to talk to you as well at the end of this one.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, and that is Wyatt Burton, driver here for Trine University, who is going to be looking to try to do the double in a weird sort of way. He ran the open wheel race, won that. Now he's going to be looking to try to do the same here tonight in the stock car side. Typically, you have the stock car folks who try to do the double over the open wheel. This time, we're getting it a little bit the other way around.
Yeah, I mean, best of luck to Wyatt. I also definitely want to give a shout out to Cale Davidson. He's doing the same thing. Traditionally an open wheel guy. He won FC Texas last season, beat me by like that much. But it's a tough switch. Having spent a good amount of time in both cars, I mean, going from a 2,000 some odd pound Indy car with more downforce than you know what to do with to a stock car which has, relatively speaking, none. It's tough, and especially you have to actually use your left foot at Indianapolis in a stock car, you don't even think about the brake pedal or in an Indy car. So it's going to be tough, but we'll see how these guys do.
Yeah, I think that biggest question mark is going to be those initial couple laps going into the corner. You start battling with people, start trying to outbrake them a little bit, and then you got to remember, oh, I actually do need the brake here. So we'll see how Wyatt and Kale do here tonight, but I have a feeling they'll do pretty well. They're just both phenomenal drivers. They've shown so much acumen and so much skill on the open wheel side that I think they're going to really adjust well. And we have a lot of folks running for, the win here tonight as well. This is a crown jewel race. A lot of folks have put in some preparation for this one. Should be fun. But we're going to step away for a quick commercial break. When we come back, it will be the start of tonight's HC Thompson 200 presented by Orange Wheel Racing from the Brickyard. You won't want to miss it. So definitely stick around, and we'll be right back. First opened in 1909, this place has seen countless phenomenal races over the years, and tonight the CIL looks to add another to that long lineage here at the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway. For the 8th round of this season, we welcome you in to the Garage Shop College Cup Series here on the CIL. Gearing up for what should be a fantastic race here tonight. The HC Thompson 200, presented by Orange Wheel Racing. Welcome in, everybody. I'm Alex Gagnon. Alongside me tonight is producer Christian Hill and co-commentator Ryan Whitlock, the CSC director and part-time oval racer. Going to make a little appearance up here in the booth. You know, Ryan, obviously for the folks who tuned in for the pre-show, this may not be anything new, but for the folks just tuning in recently, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to tonight. Truth be told, I wanted to run tonight, but duty called, and it's always fun up here in the booth, so I'm looking forward to getting probably the best seat in the house for tonight's race. Well,
you certainly, if nothing else, will not need to go to the infield care center at the end of this one, being up here with me and Christian. And not saying that you would, Rick. I'm just saying, based on recent runs, you have a tendency to get airborne a little bit, and this is a place where the speeds could definitely result in that again.
No, that's fair. I'll let you have that one, Alex. I do think I remember posting for the FC race at Texas, me flipping in practice, and I screenshotted that and said, "This race is official, gentlemen. Whitlock's in the air." But it's going to be a good race. I think the trend throughout the Cup Series this season has been, generally speaking, cleaner, smarter racing. I think that's a result of our championship long points format rather than playoffs. And I mean, we'll see how that plays out tonight. I think Indianapolis is a track where you have to really make moves happen. They're not just going to come to you if there's a pace difference. You got to make it work. So nothing left to do but watch.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that, to your point, but you have to go out there and make moves happen. That's part of why winning at a racetrack like this means just a little bit more than some other places. You can't necessarily fall into a win here at Indianapolis unless someone runs out of fuel coming to the line. I mean, you really, every straightaway, you get that pole, but then you get into the corner, and you've got to work for each and every pass going into these corners here. And I think we'll see a lot of that tonight in the front field of who really wants it and who has the car control to outbrake, the car in front of them, get down inside of them, make that move, and not end up in the fence because of it.
Yeah, I think you put it really well there when you mentioned car control. In the practice laps I did preparing for a possible run, it really seemed like slip angle is the name of the game here. You want to be rotating through those corners with the back end just ever so slightly, acting like it's going to come around, or else you're just going to get no rotation. But then again, driving like that is going to hurt your rear tires, and driving like that, you might eventually step over that rear slip angle a little too much. So it's definitely going to be a car control, smart, within the limits, like 99.5% kind of night.
And then being able to do that lap after lap. Obviously, we saw earlier this year with FC doing that for the full 500 miles. Tonight, only 200 miles, but in these stock cars, arguably just as Herculean a task with cars that do not grip the ground nearly as well. But while we have an opportunity, I want to thank the folks who make this series possible. Without them, we would not be racing each and every week, especially here tonight at Indianapolis. First off, the Garage Shop, the season-long partner here of the Collegiate iRacing League. The Garage Shop is a race car fabrication company, building some of the most unique cars, trucks, and off-road vehicles around. Their motto of honoring the racers who came before us and putting our competitors behind us resonates with all here in the CIL. You can check them out at thegarageshop200.com. And a big thank you to the Garage Shop for being the season-long partner of the Collegiate iRacing League's College Cup Series. ECAC, adding value to its member schools by enhancing the competitive experience for hundreds of students seeking to participate in intercollegiate esports. The McConey Setup Shop, the homes for setups, paint schemes, coaching, and more, the official setup shop of eNASCAR and the Garage Shop College Cup Series. You can visit the McConeySetupShop.com today to subscribe. And of course, Whiplash SimCams, an iRacing and esports media group specializing and racing and team graphics, iRacing camera packs, and other broadcasting resources. And tonight's sponsor, Orange Wheel Racing. The race name tonight, the HC Thompson 200, comes from the following. The OWR team and community respects and admires the small traditions of NASCAR over the years, and one that is near and dear to them is the tradition to name the Brickyard 400 after a fallen member of the armed services. This race in particular is named for Nick Stockner's great-great-uncle who gave his life fighting in France during World War II. We hope that this sparks a tradition for years to come in the CIL to use this race at the Brickyard to honor other members of the CIL community and their fallen family members. But with that, that takes us trackside for the first time here tonight. Little overview of this absolutely beautiful but absolutely massive facility. Ryan, why don't you talk to us a little bit about the place that is Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
Yeah, you said it yourself, Alex. Beautiful but massive. I think this year is my 8th Indy 500 in May. So can confirm, beautiful but massive. 2.5 miles long. One of a few 2.5 milers in the United States, but it's a rectangular track. It's got 4 turns. The straightaways are 0 degrees, but the corners are 9 degrees of banking. Each corner is a 1/4 mile long. You've got the short chutes at the north and south ends of the track. Those are 1/8 of a mile, and the front and back straightaways are 5/8 of a mile long. Pit road speed is 55 miles an hour. These guys are going to have a tough time weighing it down coming out of turn 4. And this track made its CIL debut in 2021. That was season 3 of competition. But in the real world, this facility was opened in 1909 and held the first Indy 500 in 1911 and has been doing it ever since.
And it has continued to put on a show year after year. I do remember as a driver running in that season 3 race here at Indianapolis, and let me tell you, that was an interesting race. It was pretty normal for the opening 2/3, and then about a little over halfway, probably the largest pileup I have ever seen in an iRacing event happened on the front straightaway going into turn 1, collected the entire back 2/3 of the field. And I think that was part of the reason why we didn't go back for a couple of seasons after that one, but we did make one more appearance here in season 7. That race a couple of years ago, won by Jake Drew, former ARCA and Truck Series driver. Before we find ourselves here tonight for only the 3rd time in Garage Shop College Cup Series history.
Yeah, I can confirm, speaking on that season 3 race, I think I made it through. I felt like Lightning McQueen at the start of Cars. I think I made it through that humongous wreck, but it genuinely was like, let's not come back here except for one other time in 2 years. But we're back now in the next gen car. I don't know if season 7 was next gen or not.
I also don't know. It was right around the time when that switch happened.
But getting word from the producer that it was. But we're back for the first time in quite some time. And I mean, nothing left to do but see how it goes. I think not only are we in the Gen 7 Cup car, but as I've said a couple times, full season points. We're like 2/3 of the way through the season. People have championship positions to think about and not just trying to make the playoffs.
Absolutely.
So I think it's gonna, hopefully we don't get that pile up again.
I certainly hope not. Well, let's take a look here to see what it's like trying to get around Indianapolis Motor Speedway by yourself without having to have all the other cars. Here's Wyatt Burton, who we got to talk to in the pre-race show, making his first qualifying laps here in the Garage Shop College Cup Series. Trine University driver looking to put together a fast time in that number 3 machine. And you can see trying to use as much of this track surface as possible, all the way up to the wall on the straightaways, down all the way to the apron, going through the corners, because there's not a whole lot of banking to work with. It's just enough to help get that car rotated if you hit the corner right, but boy, if you get washed up to that outside lane, you are going to have a really tough time getting around the corner.
Yeah, it looks like here in turn 3, he has a tough time getting below that white line. You definitely want to be below that white line for a good time here at Indianapolis. Does a decent job of that in turn 4, but he's certainly doing a good job of using all of the track width on entry and exit. You don't want to touch that concrete curbing on the inside of the corners, but you want to get as close to it as you can.
That you absolutely do. So that was what it's like driving here at Indy, and they'll be doing that for the better part of 80 laps, potentially some overtime, depending if things fall the right or wrong way, depending on who you ask. But scheduled distance, 200 miles here tonight. And with that, that'll take us to tonight's starting grid for the HC Thompson 200, presented by Orange Wheel Racing. Got a good field here tonight. And our pole sitter is going to be a name that, well, quite frankly, might not shock you too much if you've been following along this whole season, folks. On the front row here tonight, it is Daniel Nanny from Ball State University looking for win number 5 this season in his 8th race. Muhammad Alif rolls off to his outside teammate from Ball State. Row 2 is going to be the 58 of Jared Kaler and the 34 of Logan Smith from Auburn. Row number 3 will be Jason Wallop from Drexel University in that 76 machine. Jake Cummings from Converse rolls off alongside. Row 4 will be Reese Bayham from Auburn University. Keaton Calick in the 29 from St. Clair College with a good starting spot tonight. And rounding out your top 10, Clint Halterman from UNC Charlotte and Andrew McGill from Auburn University.
On the inside of row 6, we've got Kelton Quitt from Ball State University with Andrew Williams, Clemson University on his outside. Row 7, Wyatt Burton, FC race winner here for the 500 on the inside of row 7 with Nick Stockner to his outside in 14th. Row number 8, Brennan Lyman on the inside for University of Colorado Denver with Lucas Moody from home team Ball State University on his outside. Andrew Burrows on the inside of Clemson University with Cade Corbin from UAH on the outside. Row 10, Cale Davidson making his Cup Series debut, rolls off 19th with Michael James from Drexel on his outside.
Back into row 11, we got Nick Henley from Ball State alongside Matthew Nordberg from NC State, the Wolfpack rolling off 22nd. Caleb Wilson from ECU will be 23rd here tonight. Ethan Decatur rolls off 24th for Valparaiso. Back in 25th will be Ball State's Ben Neller. Wesley Shaw from Texas A&M Texarkana rolls off in 26th. 27th here tonight will be Trey Lamprecht from the Texas A&M University of San Antonio, and Nolan Starkey rolls off tonight from Trine. A couple of those cars in the field here tonight. And rolling off row 15, it'll be Andrew Voigt and Edward Sanchez.
16th row, Josh Staley, he's got a nickname, from New England College, 31st, and Landon Velicky rolls off 32nd for Auburn. Roger Primo from Paul Smith's College rolls off 33rd, and Connor Zabosian from Kettering is 34th. And Spencer Brown from UNC did not set a qualifying time and nor a practice time, so he will not be racing tonight.
And with that, 34, 35 cars or so ready to rock and roll here in Indianapolis. Should be a fun one here tonight. While they're doing the pace lap, we'll throw that race analysis up on screen for our previous winners first, actually, yeah. Previous winners, Jared Kaler here for UNC Charlotte back in Season 3, won that chaotic race here in our first attempt at the Brickyard. A couple seasons later, it was Jake Drew who won it for not Clemson University, I believe, but it was actually Fullerton College. Neither here nor there. And that would then take us to tonight's race analysis. There it is. We are all recovering from a long day here of work, folks, both production and broadcast alike. So you'll have to give us a little bit of grace here this evening, especially in the early going. 80 laps, 200 miles. Estimated pit window just south of that 40 laps. That would be halfway. And Ryan, this was something you were talking about before we went live here today. A wicked high track temp for the opening laps here tonight.
Yeah, it's incredibly hot. So while these guys are going to have to work a little bit to make fuel last, they're going to have to work hard to make tires last. So it is, the sun is blazing down on this, from this Indiana sky on this Indiana track. But we are about to go racing here in the College Cup Series.
Field is stacked up and ready to go. The 8th race of the Garage Shop College Cup Series season about to be underway. Pace car going to peel off down pit road stacked up in this historic front stretch. And for only the third time in 12 seasons, we are racing here at Indianapolis.
Looks like someone's bumper has flown off. I imagine that was internet related, but the field has made it through turns 1 and 2 safely. We'll have to see how they navigate 3 and 4, but that first 5 looks like it's about to be... And we have a caution. Someone just smacked the wall hard. I think that was Michael James from Drexel who hit the wall hard. And there's Ben Neller, also from Ball State, facing the wrong way, coming into, I think that's turn 3. As he gets it turned back around, probably going to be able to limp back to pit lane, but I mean, I think that early yellow was not necessarily likely, but very possible, and this is really going to help everybody's fuel strategy.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I mean, just absolutely significant front-end damage here to Ben Neller. Both sides of the front end of that car look very torn up. But to your point, with the fuel window estimated to be about 38 laps, automatically this has fallen at a prime time to get to the halfway point on this opening tank of fuel. So we'll take a look here at the replay. This was on the restart, or actually the start of the race. Everyone got stacked up, ready to go. And we're going to keep an eye on here on the 79 as we get a little...
Yeah, so inside row looks like it got checked up there, and he goes for it on the outside, which iRacing I do believe does allow, so long as you go to the outside when the green waves. Really goes wide for the entry to 1. Manages to stay to the outside of Zabosian. Although this wreck was closer down to turn 3, so we'll get to see the full context here as to how this all unfolded. Yeah, that random internet bumper
just went careening off into the infield. But this might be where it started. They were looking to... Oh, boy. What happened to Andrew McGill? Boy, he was way down on pace. Everyone had the move to avoid, and ultimately that's how the 79 got up into the fence. Contact there with the 31 of Josh Daly.
Yeah, that's the 004 from Auburn University. If I had to guess, I mean... I think he just hits a wall coming off of 2, gets kind of sucked into it, can't find his way off of it, and just remains at a slower speed for that long 5/8 of a mile back straightaway.
It very well is possible that the 004 there of McGill may have been the car that clipped the wall that we saw with the internet issue. Perhaps he hit the wall harder there than we initially realized, and then everyone had to try to get around as he got up the speed. But tough break there in the early going. It does maybe look like an Auburn play. He's up into the wall here and not really getting off it either. I wonder if there was other issues at hand. And yeah, just nowhere to go for the 79. Gets loose, ends up in the wall.
Yeah. Neller had cars go 3 wide in front of him, so he had no real way of seeing McGill farther up there. But I'm curious as to what happened to put McGill out there. I think, yeah, just receiving a report, head steward put it in the chat. Lap 1, cars 79 and 004, no penalty, racing incident / hardware issue. So I guess that errant bumper flying across the track was some internet issue. I think ultimately what that means is these drivers are looking forward to iRacing's internet black flag rule coming in the next season.
That is also a thought that seems to be very high on the list of priorities for producer Christian. It sounds like, if his reaction in the booth here, folks, was any indication. But we're not really a whole lot to glean from the opening half lap or so, other than they had gotten through 1 and 2 relatively all right. But it does go to show in the early going going 3 wide into the corner, whether by choice or by circumstance, usually leads to bad things happening here at Indy. It just simply is not that wide in the corners.
Yeah, 3 wide at Indy rarely ends well. I mean, the corners are physically very wide, but the racing groove is 1 1/4 car widths on a good day. And it's really hot, so it's not really a good day. But I imagine under this yellow, these drivers have been doing lots of clutch and coast and probably even cutting the engine off just to save every drop of fuel they can. But pace car lights are off, and as we come out of turn, I think that's turn 1, we're going to go green next time.
We are certainly going to be going green next time. It'll still be that Ball State duo up at the front of the field, Daniel Nanny, Muhammad Alif. And, it's worth highlighting. Even though we've talked about it a good bit this year, I don't know if we've really given enough credit to it. Through the opening 7 races of the year, Daniel Nanny, that number 30 machine for Ball State, 4 wins through the opening 7 races. I mean, he has just been absolutely lights out to start this season. And it's part of the reason he finds himself with the points advantage here coming into Indy. Obviously putting himself on the pole, gets a few extra points for that. Doing everything he needs to do right now to go after that first ever Garage Shop College Cup Series championship for himself. And it's been a dream season to this point. The question mark is, will he be able to continue it? It's the blessing and the curse of those full season points. That consistency is key, but when you aren't consistent, it could really put you in a hole in a hurry. Pace car going to peel off. Oh, yeah, go for it.
And we are not green yet. It's in the air. And Nanny punches it. We are green once again at Indianapolis after that early yellow. Daniel Nanny gets about a car length advantage over Muhammad Alif headed into turn 1. Gets that benefit of running single file. Jared Kaler manages to get to the inside of Alif. It's going to be hard to stay there through turn 2. Alif holds firm on the outside.
Yeah, he's certainly going to try to stick it in there on the inside. He followed Nanny on through the gap, but was not able to get the run he was looking for. He's actually going to lose out to Jake Cummings as well. Big elevator move. Looks to the inside of Alif here. And boy, have we seen these 3 cars battle each other quite a bit this year. Daniel Nanny, Muhammad Alif, and Jake Cummings. Especially early on in the season, it felt like these 3 were just glued together. And we're seeing a little bit of it here once again on board with the 58.
Yeah, great onboard. Great time to be on board with the 58 here as Jake made that move around the outside, went to the inside of Leaf. I think Jake could be doing a better job of being about 1 tire width lower. He needs to be below that white line if he wants to make this happen. I think Leaf thought better of trying to stay on the outside again there. Lets Jake have the position. There's, only 74 laps still to go. We'll see if maybe Jake's got a little early run pace. See if he can try to catch down Daniel Nanny. He's got to be cautious of how much he's using his tires with how hot this track is.
Yeah, and I think that's also maybe part of the reason why the 12 didn't really battle him too hard for that spot, knowing that he was going to have to use up a bit more tire. If this goes on a longer run, which we've seen more and more of this season than in season past, those long green flag runs, that is something that really falls into Alif's wheelhouse, is being able to manage tires over a longer run. We've seen him do it countless times on the FC side and a number of times even here on the College Cup Series side. So we'll see if that is what the strategy call was there. Jumping on board with the FC winner here from Indy just a few weeks ago. That's Wyatt Burton from Treen making his College Cup Series debut. Currently running in the 11th position. Looking pretty good here as he looks to the inside of Keegan Kallick for 10th.
Yeah, he made that work on Keegan. I don't think he quite had an actual overlap. I mean, we're witnessing right here what slightly less stock car experience does. That was a perfect opportunity for side draft, and Wyatt did not take it. Tisk, tisk. But tucks in line here, washes out a good bit. I think he's experiencing the fact that dirty air does still exist in stock cars. But I mean, doing good so far, running 11th in what is a very competitive College Cup Series field. Hopefully he can stay on to that car, stay on top of it, make sure it stays underneath him, and doesn't fall off as the run progresses.
And this is definitely one of those things where every lap he is learning more about the car, about the track, and about the competitors he's out there battling with. So he's only going to get more and more information at his disposal as this race goes on. The early stage is really about just trying to figure stuff out. And he seems to be doing a pretty solid job of that so far, tailing just outside the top 10. And you can see, especially on these straightaways, how quickly things get stretched out here at Indianapolis. Everything has to kind of filter single file through the corners, which usually means you end up getting single file on the straightaways unless you get a run like you do here. Drew Williams taking a peek to the inside of Jason Wallet. That is the battle for the 7th position.
Yeah, Drew doesn't quite get it done here, and I don't think he's going to have enough of a run to make the side draft work. That is one thing worth noting as they blow by us here at the Motor Bricks, is that with how long these straightaways are, if you can give somebody the side draft, it is massively to your benefit. But getting side by side is not a easy task here in Indianapolis, as Drew still has to wait behind Jason Wallet. Looks like he's going to get a bit of a run here. I know he's got a teammate behind him. Is he going to do anything with it? He chooses to do so, gives Jason that side draft. Jason just gets pulled along Drew's right side, and Drew's going to be ahead a little bit by the time he gets to turn 3. That's the power of aerodynamics for you. Jason holds firm for now. Drew doesn't quite have him clear. That was tight. Jason's still barely there. I think Drew's going to clear him here. I don't know if Clint's going to get to Jason's inside. Not quite, but Drew makes that pass and gets it done clean.
Yeah, the only issue he ran into there, he actually clipped the wall just a little bit coming off of turn 4. Didn't halt his momentum at all, but now it's opened the door here behind. You see this battle, Halterman and Wallet. That's the battle for the 8th spot. As the UNC Charlotte driver trying to take a peek to the inside. Winner a couple weeks ago. Trying to pick up win number 2 on the season. He's worked himself into the 9th position here, but still has plenty of work to do if he's going to get up and contend with that front group of cars.
Yeah, as Drew's already starting to pressure the Auburn University car of Logan Smith ahead of him. I think a couple of corners ago I saw Clint get a good dive to the inside of Jason coming into a corner, so I'm not sure if Clint's just braking later or Jason's already thinking about lifting and coasting to make that fuel number happen. I don't know how much of that they're still going to have to do given that early caution. But still very single file here. Guys kind of looking, thinking about what they want to do, but deciding better of it for the time being.
Tell you what, whereas there's an instant little battle on track, that third battle, or position number 3, you got R. Muhammad Alif and Reese Bayham. We'll jump back to that battle deeper in the field in just a moment here. So right now, that's a driver who's on the move here in the early going. Reese Bayham started 7th. He's up the 4th, and he is not content with that. You see, he is breathing down the back of Alif's neck here going into turn 3. 334 machine of Reese Bayham having a really, really strong campaign to this point. He's kind of been under the radar a little bit, I think, as far as where people have realized where he's been running week in, week out. But he's been up there with the best of them. He's been basically top 10 in the points all season long. He actually sits 4th in the points right now, just behind Manny Cummings and DeWale. So it's been a phenomenal opening stretch here for Reese Bayham. He's looking to try to close this thing out with, potentially keeping himself in championship contention here with a good run today.
Yeah, I think just with Reese, he's really pushing early on in the race. I mean, he started 7th, and making up positions one by one at Indianapolis was no tall task. If he gets a good slipstream, lifts off the gas, thinks better of it. I think, we're just witnessing the fact that in the Collegiate iRacing League, you can be around for, reasonably speaking, 4 years, if not more, if you're racing as an alumni. And I think despite being an alumni, this is Reese's rookie season, so just doesn't have that notoriety yet, but he is earning it here today at Indianapolis.
He really has. He's been putting in that work all season long, and I think a lot of the other drivers in the field, especially in this front pack, are really starting to come to recognize that as well, because they keep seeing that Auburn machine up at the front. Really, Auburn as a program have really taken a big step forward this year. Obviously, Reese has seen a lot of success, but I mean, Logan Smith and Landon Bellicke have both podiumed this year. They've had phenomenal runs as well. I mean, really, that entire program has taken a healthy step forward. As you see on the left side of your screen, the schools and universities being represented here tonight, shown on the left side of your screen, seeing where everybody's running. And it is it's quite the spread from north to south, east to west here. This little battle between Ball State and Auburn. You see there's 2 Auburn drivers in the top 6 as they run right now.
Yeah, I'm disappointed. I drive Cade Corbin all the way down there in 31st, but he can make it happen. Still plenty of race to go. As Reese, I just don't think he has enough help from behind to make a move happen. I mean, not that this is necessarily a super speedway where you need that, but if you pull out a line, it's still nice to have somebody eliminate some of the effects of that draft behind. As the leaders are really starting to get just very settled into their pace, figure out what their car has, what they have for this first stint of the race.
Oh, big battle going on here at the tail end of the top 10. Wyatt Burton gets by the 29, who washed up the track. Contact with Stockner. They almost are going to be 3 wide in the 4. Oh, tagged him. Good save from the 29. The 124 is still looking to the inside. Boy, he is just abusing that back bumper, and now here comes Kelton Quick.
Yeah, Nick Stockner is making full use of the fact of that these cars have carbon composite bodies. You can beat and bang them without worrying about any tire cuts or anything like that. As Kelton Quick almost looks to his inside, but yeah, nearly 3 wide between a short shoot at Indianapolis is bold stuff. So I think in the front, they're figuring everything out. In the back, they are figuring each other out. No, that was an interesting line.
Well, they're also taking a very interesting line to the way they've been approaching racing each other at the moment. I mean, it's not too often here you see people really getting, bump and run here at Indianapolis, but we almost had that there with Stockner and Keegan Kallick, but the 29 kept his composure, kept the hammer down, and he continues to run here in the 11th position, trying to track down Jason Wallet ahead. A little bit of a second pack here that is formed from that lead one, as now Kallick maybe going to take a run at Wallet going in the 1. The St. Clair College machine. It's a good run in the 1. They're going to be door-to-door through the short chute.
Yeah, Wallet just seems to be falling back relative to his qualifying position of 5th, as he's currently battling to hold on to his 10th position. Looks like he's going to lose out on that. He's just got people behind him ready to pounce. And there goes Kallick. I think he's going to have him cleared coming off the corner. Nick is there now. Kallick's got him cleared. Nick is completely alongside. Has the advantage for now, but I think Wallet's going to have the advantage of the toe coming down this straightaway. We'll see what Nick can do with the side draft to counter.
Yeah, you see Moody there, the 13, giving a bit of a push to Wallet. Clears the 124 for both of them. Stockner going to drop back to P13. We've had quite the scrap here just outside the top 10. So we make our way onto lap 17, nearly a quarter of the way through tonight's 8-sheet Thompson 200 at the Brickyard, presented by Orange Wheel Racing. And we are watching one of those members of Orange Wheel Racing really going out of here with one of the Vortex drivers. That is Lucas Moody. Nick Stockner. Here comes Kelton Quick into the mix as well. All this while Brendan Lyman watches on from just behind there in the 56. He is getting first-class treatment right now, watching some of the action unfold just in front of him.
Yeah, Nick gets underneath Lucas, gets the run. I don't think he's going to have him cleared. And again, Lucas is going to have the benefit of that slipstream. Nick has to tuck in line. But a couple corners now, Lucas has missed the apex. And, well, I was about to say Nick was going to make him pay for that, but Kelton follows Lucas through on the inside. Nick is losing a couple spots here early on, but there's still so much racing left to go. I would not be remotely worried about this if I were Nick.
As we jump up here, this is the battle for 7th at the moment. Logan Smith just ahead of Clinton Halterman and Wyatt Burton. That 34 machine.
Wyatt Burton P9 that's impressive. But Andrew Williams got by Logan Smith probably not too long ago, and Clint looks to do the same. I think he got a better run coming out of that corner, gets alongside before they're even on the straightaway. Elects to move way off of Logan. I think he had the run, doesn't need the side draft here. And that might be a decision that pays off in his favor. It looks like it. I don't know if Logan's going to have much of an answer for it between turns 1 and 2. He does not. Clint falls in line, takes turn 2, and I think he's going to try to get back to the bumper of Orange Wheel Racing teammate Drew Williams up ahead.
And I think that's such an important moment that we just saw there. Is the side draft, we know, is very important and very powerful here with the arrow at play in these next-gen cars. But sometimes when you know you have the run, getting yourself that separation to let that run carry yourself, get that momentum to move ahead of the car in front of you, and not ruin it with the side draft. You got to be able to gauge kind of in real time. If you don't think you have the run, can you side draft from the pole even, versus if you do think you have the run, give yourself the space to breathe, get yourself that air to let that come to fruition. It's always a bit of a guessing game when you have those kind of runs, and Clint definitely played it right that time around. So we're on board here with Wyatt Burton, who's not only up 4 spots from where he qualified, he could be in position to gain a couple more as he is closing in on the back bumper of Logan Smith here, and is maybe going to take a peek to the inside going into turn 3.
I don't think he's quite there. He showed intent, but Logan just got the better entry. And sorry to interrupt from this, but there's a massive battle going on farther back for about 24th. There's 5 cars that could be covered by a blanket, as R. Muhammad Alif is to the inside of Jake Cummings, with Jared Taylor in tow. Excuse me, that's Reese Bayham.
Oh boy. 3 wide, second, third, or not 3 wide, but 3 cars all battling here for second. You're finding some good battles out on track. I'll have to jump back to that one deeper into the field here in just a moment as well. But boy, Alif is trying to make it work on the inside. Almost got it done there on the far half of the track. Now trying to reel him back in here going into 3. Bayham, an important decision to make. Who was he supporting with the draft? Kind of split the difference, and those two will be stuck side by side going through the short chute.
And Alif clears Jake just barely. Bayham gets beneath Cummings. I think Cummings is going to clear him coming off the corner, though. He does. Reese has no choice but to fall back in line, as that battle farther back into the 20s has died down for the time being. And this is one of the closest battles on track for the moment. I think that was Alif getting back by Jake after Jake put a move on him earlier in the race. It is once again at Ball State University 1-2.
That it is. So Ball State runs 1-2 at the moment. You see Auburn's Reese Bayham settling in the 4th, just behind Converse's Jake Cummings, who holds down the final spot of the podium. Jared Kaler currently around that top 5. And then it goes down Drew Williams, Clint Halterman, Logan Smith, Wyatt Burton, and Keegan Cowlick as we make our way here through lap 22 of this one. Well over halfway through this fuel run at this point in time. However, with the way this opening caution fell and then it's been green since, I can't imagine anyone's thinking about pit stops just yet, because there's not really a need to try to, split this thing into 2 chunks at lap like 20 and then like lap 50 or so, given when that opening caution fell.
No, not a chance. I mean, I guarantee that almost the entire field is eyeballing lap 40. And if anyone is thinking otherwise, as Brennan Lyman hits that concrete curb, holds onto it just barely, but that is a dangerous part of the track. Tom Blomqvist learned that lesson the hard way at Indianapolis in 2024. Brennan was almost another learner of that lesson. Yeah, I don't think anybody's really going to be thinking about a lap 20, 23 like now. Maybe we'll see some people go for like lap 30, lap 60, so that they have fresher tires, but I really think track position is the name of the game here. I imagine most of the field is on that 40 to the end strategy.
So we're on board here with Brennan Lyman, who's got a run down the front straightaway on Nick Stockner. Just runs out of time to really do anything with it, though. Gets down onto that concrete strip again. He really likes getting all the way down to that in turn 1. You see him
He's
really
doing it again here in turn 2.
Yeah, he is not afraid. He either doesn't know what happened to Tom Blomqvist or does not care versus that concrete barrier. But boy, he is really getting that car down low and getting a tighter angle through that corner than the 124 is at the moment. Be really curious to see if Lyman's able to get a run on him.
Yeah, I mean, he does have the benefit of 1,000 more pounds and significantly less downforce to upset the aero balance. But I mean, you can see his steering wheel. He's not smooth through those corners. He's having to make some adjustments. I think maybe more than is ideal. I think he's also having to give it a bit more steering angle than maybe is ideal. But on almost every straightaway, it looks like he's getting some sort of run on Nick Stockner. Don't know if this back straightaway is going to be the same as previously. But you know what, Brennan? Whatever floats your boat, man. You're running P15, not anything to scoff at whatsoever. Farther back, looks like Michael James, that is in 21st, the 99 car. I think he actually made wall contact. Goes side by side with Connor Zabosian, a bit farther back. That battle's already finished. Don't worry about it, Mr. Producer. Nick takes that wider arc into the corners. I think that's paying dividends for him. Looks like his entry's a little bit later, corner's a little bit wider.
There is the 73 machine, Wesley Shaw.
Oh, God. I'm
Little
sorry. He's
onboard
using a
action.
Formula wheel to drive a cup car. I couldn't help it. That's
I'm about to
gross.
say, like, wow, that's a
Sorry.
really sharp reaction to someone we had a lovely interview with a couple of weeks ago. But I now see why, yeah. But, you know, if there's any track where you're going to run a wheel like that, would Indy not be the one that feels like it makes the most sense?
No, you're right. I mean, Indy is the road course of ovals. Sometimes I describe it as just pretend Suzuka 130R happened 4 times in a row. That's Indianapolis. But still, I reserve the right to make fun of people for using Formula wheels in a cup car. But he's running 25th. Decent result. Lucas Moody,
there's another
speaking
one.
of Formula wheels in a cup car, adjusting his gloves, making sure he's doing all right, hitting almost 190 headed into turn 1. Makes the apex beneath that white line. Good corner for Lucas. Uses all the track in the short chute. I think that's the south chute between 1 and 2. That's the south end of the track. Good exit coming off of turn 2. Gets so close to that outside wall, actually, that he almost hits the little pothole that's right there at the track gate.
And you
On his
see just how
dashboard
much
here.
momentum he carries into those corners.
Oh, he
You have to
missed
go
turn
about
3.
150 through those corners up to 190 down the straightaways. And we'll take a little look at the spoiler cam. Not too much traffic ahead or behind. Lucas Moody kind of settling into his own little island here in P11.
Yeah, looking at timing tower right now, the closest battle on track is Zabosian behind Ben Neller, and even that's nearly a 2/10 gap, which, I mean, at the speeds of Indianapolis is something. Let's see. Edward Sanchez farther back is going to the inside of Caleb Winslow. He gets that pass done. I think the
If you're,
closest thing we have right now in the front half is Clint Halterman has caught up to Drew Williams. That gap has certainly closed after Clint passed Logan Smith a few laps ago.
Oh, we got ourselves a nice little battle here. There's Connor Zabosian, who led a number of laps last week at Pocono. Not finding the same success here just yet. Currently scored in the 21st position, but in a
That's
battle here,
Nordberg
oh,
and
Neller
They're
got
boring.
a piece of Matt Nordberg. Gonna shuffle the 76 up the track.
I
And,
imagine
that is
Nordberg's going to have something to say about that.
I'm
at the
sure
end of
he
the
will.
race. Yeah, Neller just
That,
knocked him out of the way. I don't even know if that was intentional or not. It's very easy to miss the apex at this track, but, you know, regardless of what happened. Wow. We're getting a report that Landon Valicky on lap 12 of the race had a wheel disconnection and smacked the wall, from what I'm hearing. Brutal for Landon. 2 weeks in a row, 2 wheel disconnections. That is unfortunate. I think we're going to go all the way back. This is the aftermath of the incident. Oh my gosh. Yeah, he must have smacked the wall and then just gone straight for the inside wall.
oh
my
boy.
gosh.
Yeah, once again, very eerily reminiscent of his run at Pocono a week ago that ended prematurely.
Yeah,
Boy,
hits
heavy
that wall
front end
hard.
damage there. And second time in a row where it's not even in the corner, it's just a straightaway where the car just jolts on him.
I think we're
And
going to
then-
have to get the tarps. Get out the tarps. He hit that wall hard. Brutal for
Gonna have
Landon.
to-
Sucks to see that happen after we were just singing the praise of Auburn's improved CIO program.
Well, I mean, they are still running 4th and 8th, but technology has not been Landon Velicki's friend these past couple weeks. I mean, once is an anomaly. Twice, that's the beginning of a pattern, and you really probably should get that thing looked at, because that is going to be very tough to have confidence to run another event if at any given point your wheel's just going to snap you into the inside wall. And I'm sure he knows that this is just, the replaying what I'm sure the thoughts are in the camp of the 62 machine right now.
Well, speaking of getting a good look at something, Clint Halterman is getting a great look at the back end of that, might I say, beautifully designed 123 of Andrew Williams. Looks to the
Shameless plug
inside,
from the
Andrew.
designer.
What? I don't know what he's talking about. Great move by Clint. I think Drew just let him have it. Clint's got to make a save and a half. I saw that wheel probably pointed 90 degrees the other way. Look at the smile on his face. He enjoyed doing that. But I think Drew lifted, just decided to make fuel. I imagine that's what those two were talking about together in a voice chat. Maybe Drew might even give Clint a little bit of that bump draft. And for a second, I saw 209 on Clint's Speedo. I don't think that's correct. But, the power of friendship can achieve things that are unbeknownst to many as these two continue to run it line. Coming out of
You've heard it here first from CSC Director Ryan Whitlock. With the power of friendship, you too can gain up to 20 additional miles per hour into turn 1 in Indianapolis.
I think that's what some of the drivers in the College Cup Series are lacking. That's really going to take them over the hump to a championship. You just got to make friends, smile, and have fun. As Drew hits the wall, he's probably not smiling or having fun, or is he? I don't know. Drew smiles at strange things sometimes. As Clint continues to grow that gap between him and Drew, looks like Clint Halterman has taken care of his tires earlier on in the race, and it is paying dividends towards the end of this fuel stint. Next car ahead of him is UNC Charlotte teammate and roommate Jared Kaler, but I don't think that's going to happen this stint.
So we are nearing the point where we believe cars will have to come down pit road. The estimated fuel window is about 38 laps if it went green.
Ooh, Wyatt Burton and Lucas Moody are side by side. Sorry to interrupt. That's for 10th and 11th.
It's a nice little battle going on there, and they've got Keegan Calick just up ahead of them. Little 3-car battle here for P9. The 29 not all that separated from Wyatt Burton and Lucas Moody. As Burton looks like he's going to be able to hold on to that spot for now, but I would hesitate to say that battle's over.
Kelton got loose farther back there, so we've got somebody on the escape road just choosing to get out of the way. Lucas Moody gives that side draft to Wyatt Burton. Wyatt gives some of it back. That's the double-sided sword of the side draft. Lucas has the inside here. Wyatt does a good job of holding the outside. I don't think Lucas is going to have him clear. They're actually dead even headed into turn 2. South end of the racetrack. Lucas misses that apex a little bit. I think Wyatt has had a better time getting to the bottom of the track as Kelton Quick chooses to pull out of line, give a little bit of help to Lucas Moody, his Ball State University teammate, by applying pressure to Wyatt Burton going into the corner. Misses that apex by about a car width. Lucas misses it by like 4. Wyatt Burton's in the wall. Kelton Quick's to the inside of Lucas now. And misses the apex again. I think I'm just being mean to the drivers. I'll stop. And Lucas holds fast, getting that run coming out of the corner on the outside.
Well, you can also see after 35 laps of racing here on this absolutely nuclear temperature track, those tires are probably really starting to fade away, and you're seeing more and more cars just wash up the corners than we were seeing at the early going. You see Kelton Quick bounce off the wall there in the short chute. Really becoming a handful for these drivers. I have no doubt they are absolutely pleading to come down pit road, but they know they can't just yet with that fuel window not in the window to try to make it a one-stop race after that caution. So they're going to have to go out there and just try to manage a few more laps here until they run that fuel tank absolutely dry.
Yeah, I
boy,
think
are
we're
they having
witnessing
a
kind
tough
of
time.
in the middle of the stint. We were singing the praises of Wyatt Burton running really well for a Cup Series debut, but now he's starting to fall into the clutches of people who have a little bit more Cup car experience. I think Kelton Quick tucks back in line. Looks like Drew Williams has just lost a spot to Logan Smith. If I had to guess, that was simply Drew conceding position into turn 1 for the sake of the fuel number. But Lucas Mooney now runs in 10th as we are oh so close to that first pit stop window opening up.
Tell you what,
Wyatt hits the wall hard there. Oh my gosh, that might have broken something.
yeah, that car starting to shimmy around on him a little bit. And he got some practice in. He was saying he got about 20 laps of practice in, but this is maybe about as far as as he's had to take a stint here at Indy in a Cup car.
Lucas
He's really
gets
just trying to hold on to it at this point.
Yeah,
Worth
maybe I should...
highlighting the other driver in the field making his debut here tonight, or at least making the jump over from FC over to the Cup side is Cale Davidson, who has put together a very quiet run where he's moved himself up to 14th. He's up about 6 or 7 spots from where he started, about 6 spots or so, and the 21 machine having a quiet day just behind them, up in the 14th behind a couple other ball stick teams.
Yeah, that's a good run for Cale. I mean, he's up 5 spots. He's ahead of the likes of Nick Stockner and Nick Henley, and just behind Wyatt and Jason. I mean, still over half this race to go, but a top 15 in the Cup Series on debut at a track that is as tough for these cars as Indianapolis is. That's a good result for Cale. I do think I should apologize to the likes of Wyatt, Lucas, and Kelton for making fun of them for failing to hit the apex of the corner, because I neglected the fact that this track is hot enough to cook an egg on. So their tires might literally be boiling hot, as Nick Stockner is on the outside of, I believe that is Trey Lambrecht, 43 car. Still side by side on the front straightaway, headed into turn 1. Dead even.
They're not going to get that one sorted as they dive into the corner. Lamprecht's going to take this spot away for a moment, and he'll settle into that spot. But you see in the bottom right side of your screen, folks, that track temp has come down a little bit from the drop of the green flag here today. That being said, it's still a crisp 118 degrees track temperature right now, so not a whole lot of relief for these tires here on the long stretch. It only has dropped about 3 degrees on track from where it began today. But the Texas A&M San Antonio driver up the P17 here. He's had a decent run today. He's picked up about 9-10 spots as well on a slow but steady charge toward the front.
Yeah, Trey has picked up 10 spots. Definitely want to shout out Connor Zbosian, currently running 19th, number 72 car. He's made up 15 spots. Nick Henley in 16th, number 64 car, has made up 5 spots. So definitely a lot of movers in today's race, while one of the worst movers today is Andrew Burrell, number 121, is down 7. And Andrew McGill, after that early lap 1 wall issue, is down 22 spots, but still running. Shout out to him for that.
And he's only 1 lap down, so if there was to be a caution, he would be the car in position to get the free pass and get back on the lead lap. So his race may not be over just yet.
I believe somebody is in the pits. I think that is Reese Bayham is the first to come down. Reese is in the pit lane. Number 334 car of Auburn University. Makes it to the end of lap 40.
That is going to, I think, put a lot of people, put up some alarm bells potentially. If this is when one of the cars in the top 5 is coming down pit road, got to imagine the rest of that group is not far behind them.
Yep, taking all 4 tires, no reason not to. We'll see where he comes out here, because Indianapolis is such a long track that I'm pretty sure you can take a full pit stop and not lose a lap. I've got my eye on Daniel Nanny, who is down the front straight now, just across the start-finish line. Here's Reese coming out of turn 1. Is he going to be careful about that? Ooh, he might get a penalty for that. iRacing has updated their pit exit strictness for turns 1 and 2. Because previously, between 1 and 2 and that escape road, you could go all the way to the wall so long as you made the escape road in 2. But I think iRacing has updated that. That might only be for the open wheel oval configuration of the track. Reese might get away with this because this is the NASCAR oval designated layout in iRacing. I think he's good. Okay, that certainly scared me for a second as I see somebody else coming into the pit lane.
Yeah, we got a few more takers here.
Yeah, a bunch
Daniel
of people
Nanny and
coming in.
Muhammad Ali.
The whole
start
field.
making their way down pit road. The leaders are going to make
Kaler
their
stays
stop.
out.
Now that's fascinating to me that the two UNC Charlotte cars staying out another lap gives them that much more of a chance to make this thing to the end if this stays green.
Drew Williams stays out. So it is currently, let me get a screenshot of this while we have it for exactly 1 lap. It is an Orange Wheel Racing 1, 2, 3, just because my teammates know how to save fuel ever so slightly better. But I think the undercut's going to be powerful here because the likes of our Muhammad Ali and Daniel Nairney are going to be putting on fresh tires. And given that the track admittedly is no longer hot enough to cook eggs scrambled well done, it's still hot enough to cook eggs scrambled fairly well. So, I mean, only thing to do is watch the likes of Jared, Clint, and Drew on this next lap as they are coming into the pit lane now.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine they would be able to stretch it any longer than they did, even with the caution at the start of this one.
But I'll tell you what. Sorry to interrupt, Alex, but
Yeah, no worries.
going this 1 lap more, full fuel, pushing could go 38 laps. The likes of these guys don't have to save hardly at all. I don't know how much of a difference that's going to make, but it's something.
It's going to be critical if this thing stays green all the way to the end. That lap that you don't have to try to manage fuel and you can just go full bore is going to, I mean, it straight up will make you a second or two. So if things get tight toward the end of this one.
So no amount of 1 extra lap on a tank of gas was going to make up the humongous gap Daniel Nanny put on these guys. But as Daniel Nanny navigates past, I believe that is a lapped car. But Jared Kaler, Clint Halterman, currently P9 and P10. I think that's going to be bet P4 and P5.
Yeah, there's a few cars still have to come down pit road in a moment. Matthew Nordberg being one of them, who's now down pit road. But I think this will be interesting because at least if nothing else, for the rest of this run, they will have 1 lap fresher tires than the Ball State cars.
Muhammad Ali is side by side with Reese Bam going into turn 1.
Oh, here we go.
I think Reese enjoyed the advantage of that early pit stop in the undercut. Made up some of that gap, but he's got to make it happen. The Leaf has the fresher tires here.
It's like Bam's going to hold on to it for now, but that is still very much contested as a Leaf is breathing down his neck, going down the back straightaway. This will cycle out to be the battle for second here once those lead couple cars stop to make their fuel stops. Bayham trying to hold on to second right now to split up the Ball State 1-2. And it looks like he's settled in just a little bit here again, but this is where Leaf got such a big run. The last lap, can he do it again here going into 1?
Yeah, Reese keeps the spot for now, but I mean, he's got about 3 lap older tires, so give it, I don't know, another 35 more laps, and the advantage might swing back in the Leafs' favor. They've got a lapped car just ahead of them. Don't think he's going to impede progress too much. As the likes of Connor Zabosian is now pitting. I believe he is probably the last car to have to do so. Excuse me, Edward Sanchez and Andrew Burrell, who are the on-track leaders, still have to pit. Maybe they pit during that first yellow, enjoyed a little top-up.
I believe they did, and I think this is a bit of a strategy play here from the 26 of Sanchez. Gives him the bonus of a lap led. Burrow will come down pit road now. Sanchez credited leading that lap and has not been a particularly loud day for the 26. He has not been up toward the front much of it, but will get credit for the lap led, the bonus points that go with it, and trying to pluck away every point he can here so far tonight.
Yeah, not a great day for Edward. One of the front runners in CIO College Cup Series competition. I believe he just made the call into pit. We saw his lips flap there briefly. You know, maybe this will help get him a couple spots because he might not have to take a full tank right here. He might be able to underfuel by just another gallon or two compared to his competitors. So maybe this will play in his favor. Only one way to know. But with that, Daniel Nanny rounding turn 4 takes back the actual, not just net, but actual race lead of this race.
And as this cycles out, green flag pit stops have concluded here at Indianapolis. Daniel Nanny still up front. Reese Bayham, though, with a little bit of strategy, has jumped up into P2 ahead of R. Muhammad Alif, Jake Cummings, Jared Kaler, your top 5 after they cycled. Clint Halterman, Logan Smith, Drew Williams, Keegan Calick, and Lucas Moody. Now, your top 10 as they run. Also noteworthy, Wyatt Burton, Cale Davidson, the 2 FC transfers for tonight, running 12th and 13th after that fuel cycle. Looks like they got through that relatively unscathed.
That might actually end up being a fairly interesting battle for best FC transfer in tonight's race. But Logan Smith is not too terribly far behind Clint Halterman. That is for 6th. But Clint does also have 2-lap fresher tires as Daniel Nanny crosses the stripe, takes over the actual lead of the race. As Alex mentioned, Reese Bayham in P2, R. Muhammad Alif in P3. That gap has widened a little bit, but it might come back later in the race. Closest battle right now I see on track, is Jason Wallet on the bumper of Cale Davidson. That is for 13th. Jason has a 1-lap tire advantage. They're still single file for the time being. Not missing a ton of action yet. But I think Jason's Cup experience may prevail here. But Cale, then again, has had 40-some-odd laps of practice. So I imagine Cale is significantly more comfortable in the Cup car than he was 20 minutes ago. Jason looks to his inside. Cale thinks better of it. Sorry, Alex, go ahead.
I was just going to say, every lap that has gone by here has been a learning opportunity. But when we're talking about the driver here of the 76 for Jason Watt, it was a very strong start to the season. And then, you know, kind of in the middle of the run that we've had a couple of tough results, dropped him down the point standings a little bit, trying to rebound, get back into the mix here inside that top 10 grouping. You know, has had a couple of finishes just outside the top 10 the past couple of weeks, an 11th and a 12th. Currently running in the 13th spot. Going to try to pick up a couple more to get that top 10 once again. But it's not been a bad year for the driver of the 76. He's had some of the better runs we've seen from him in recent seasons. And he's put that Drexel machine currently in P13 as he is trying to track down Wyatt Burton just up ahead. Cale Davidson, though, not letting them get away. That gap only about a car length as they make their way through turn number 4. It'll be 30 laps to go next time by. This race just flying along here in Indianapolis.
Jason has definitely been on a bit of an upswing of form as of late. He's currently in 13th, but gridded 5th, so I think he's got a little bit more he would like to achieve. As farther down in the field, Cade L. Corbin in 21st. That's the 08 car. Is looking on Matthew Nordberg. Isn't quite able to do it. I think it's been like 2 or 3 laps in a row. There's my UAH teammate with his UAH blue and his UAH blue gloves. On the bumper of my Orange Wheel Racing teammate. I don't know who to root for. Cade, if you dump him, I'm going to be so mad at you. Doesn't dump him.
You can see he is
gives him the side draft
in right now.
I know it. That's the on-campus sim rigs that I put together. I'm so proud. Come on, Cade, make the move happen. Charter Motorsports logo on that rear deck lid, beautiful. Chef's kiss gets the move done. Attaboy, Cade. That moves him into the top 20. I wonder how loud the Super Smash Brothers players are currently being in the esports room. Hopefully, Cade is able to concentrate right now.
That is, you know, I have not had the opportunity to either broadcast or race from RMU's Esports Room in a couple of years. It's been a little bit, but very vividly remember the one time where we had the iRacing session in one room and the Overwatch team was in a playoff game in the other, and they won.
Geez.
And we could not hear each other talk for a good 4 or 5 laps at, I think we were at Richmond or something, because they were celebrating so loud, and we were like, dear God, there are no more comms.
Wyatt Burton is not too terribly far away from Kelton Quick for 11th and 12th, but I think both of them took down the turn 4 wall last lap as Cade pulls out a gap on Matthew Norberg. It looks like Matthew Norberg's right front fender is a little beat up, as Wyatt Burton is just barely to the inside of Kelton. Single file for the time being still.
Alrighty, folks. Well, if you've got those volume knobs handy, or you got the old volume button on your phone, if that's how you're watching, feel free to bump it up just a couple more times. We are going to crank it up here on CIL and let these bad boys roar here in Indianapolis and let you listen to the sights and sounds of stock car action at the Brickyard. All right, folks, we are back here with the live broadcast coverage of the HC Thompson 200 at the Brickyard. Our Muhammad Alif just made the move to get around Reese Bayham here for second. Those two traded that spot a couple of times after the pit cycle, but now the 12 firmly in control of P2 once again. However, definitely a bit of drift of his teammate Daniel Nanny up in front. That gap, a couple seconds now, as you see them trying to get around the lapped car of Wesley Shaw in the 73 machine. So Reese, on those one lap older tires than Alif, maybe starting to be a little bit of a factor. Not that it would make a ton of difference on pace, but having those slightly differential tires definitely going to play a factor, especially if you're battling lap after lap. Tire wear is so critical, and we know Alif is so good at it week in, week out.
And not to actually you, Alex, but Alif does have 2 lap fresher tires than Reese.
Oh, okay. Did not know. I thought they came in the lap after, but I guess it was when we cut to it, there was already cars on pit road, and then they were entering pit road. So yeah, okay.
Looks
2 lap
like
fresher tires then for the 12 machine.
Yep, sorry to interrupt. Kelton Quick, Wyatt Burton, and Jason Wallet are in a little battle of their own. I think Kelton and Wyatt have been next to each other all daggum day. As Jason goes way to the inside, tries to get the move done on Wyatt. Does so, moving into turn 1. As Cale Davidson is not far behind. Attaboy, Cale, 14th.
Well, we got a good little battle then brewing between the 2 FC transfers as Cale really slides it out there in 2. Wyatt Burton, Cale Davidson. Nice little battle going for P13. They're trying to track down Jason Wallet, Kelton Quick as well. A little 4-car chain just outside the top 10.
As the lapped car of Roger Primo intelligently and fairly safely gets out of the way of this 4-car battle. I think all 4 of these guys have probably hit the wall coming out of turns 2 and turns 4 at least 5 times. As Wyatt Burton gets to the inside of Jason, applies that side draft that we've mentioned so many times, gets even with him, goes into the corner, makes the apex. I don't have to make fun of him. Still side by side in the 2. I think Jason might retain the advantage here coming off of the corner.
Oh, he's going to try to get a run, but Wyatt closed the door on him. Burton jumps up the P12. Now, it's going to be Walt maybe taking a look to the inside. Nothing going, though, that time around the back straightaway. So Burton, nice little move there to take over P12. He's going to try to track down Kelton Quick. Those 2 cars have been glued to each other all race long. Meanwhile, Cale Davidson going to try to get in on the action here as well while the getting's good.
Yeah, Cale has to get by Jason Wallet if he wants any hope of snatching that best FC transfer crown from Wyatt Burton. And I think that's a good pun. You know, it's a college series and we're joking about transfers. I hope I'm not the only one who's thought that today. But Jason's right on Wyatt's bumper. Gets, I think, some overlap headed into 2. Wyatt respects it. Don't know if he necessarily had to. But doesn't matter. Wyatt holds strong.
They are absolutely digging off of turn 2 each time. You see those back ends just a little off kilter from where the front of the car is. They are really working right now to get those spots, or in the case of Wyatt Burton right now, retain it. It's tough for the 3 to try to go up there and track down Kelton Quick at the moment because he is doing a lot of mirror driving with the 76. Jason Wallet just applying a relentless amount of pressure. A great run off of turn 4 for the 76. Going to take that wide arc down the front straightaway to break up the side draft. Going to be alongside in the 1. He'll take that spot away, maybe.
Not quite. Oh, that's really close.
Yeah, they're still going to be door to door. Looks. Yeah, he's going to hold on to it for now, but boy, they are getting a real hardy scrap going on right now for position number 12. Kelton Quick watching all of this happen just out of the rearview mirror. Wyatt Burton, a very busy man right now in P12 on the fence from Jason Wallet. Wallet again going to get a run to the inside here off of turn 4. He has been able to do this a couple laps in a row now. Not as close as he was last time, though. He's going to slide in behind the 3. But it just seems like getting through the short chute into 4. The 76 is taking a tighter line than the 3 of Burton and is really letting Wallet get a run coming off of 4. Wasn't able to capitalize on it that time, but we've seen that now a couple laps in a row.
Yeah, I think eventually, after a while, I mean, either Jason or Wyatt's tires are going to pay the price for that continued deviation from the normal racing line. Couldn't tell you which of those two it's going to hurt the most, but I mean, if you keep making moves and trying and pushing to pass people, you're not taking care of your rubber. As he does it again, I mean, eventually it's going to work, or Jason's just going to give up, because Wyatt's just going to stay in the front. Smacks the wall. This time might actually be different. Kale doesn't know who he wants to follow. Jason's at Wyatt's door.
Gonna lunge it in side by side into turn one. Could thread a paper between them. They're so tight as the 76 washes up just a little bit. Gonna give Burton the edge for now. Gonna reclaim P12. Boy, I really thought Wallet was gonna be able to get him there. With Burton hitting the wall off of 4, but gutsy effort on the outside. You can't imagine that this is good for either of their tires with how intensely they're battling lap after lap. That's just gonna let Kelton Quick continue to put a gap on him.
Yeah, you know, I think Wyatt's done a great job of keeping himself pointed at by our cameras today. We picked a great choice of pre-race interview, I might say. Although I don't think Jason is going to get the run he wants here. Wyatt chooses to block ever so slightly, and Kale's just watching this race, wondering what he's going to do about it. I don't know if he's quite close enough to capitalize, but there's still 17 laps to go. That's whatever 17 times 4 is corners.
I was going to say 51, but then I realized that's 17 times 3.
68.
So there we go. That's the winning number. Math
say after
is
they've
hard,
already done
folks.
2 of them, so it's probably 66.
And they are just continuing to tick away as we've been watching this battle here. I mean, we have not been able to take our eyes off it. Wallet again to the inside. Again going to make that lunge. Can he take the spot away from Burton here through the short chute? Nothing going that time around, but he's going to stay to the inside in turn number 4. Perhaps this is the moment. Does not look like it. They are going to be glued to each other side by side as they hit the bricks.
I mean, we might as well literally just glue them together, and then they block the track for Kale. Does Jason clear him? No.
Almost, but not enough. Burton hard back on the outside. Gonna try this again here in turn 2. The 76. Oh yeah, he cleared himself almost. Oh
What's
boy!
Kale gonna do?
There goes Burton now back to the inside. Boy, this looks a lot like Burton's battle to win the FC race there with Mario Morenda. This time, though, it's battling with Jason Wallet. Battled for P12 on track. Looks like he's going to be able to take it for now. And now Davidson going to try to slide by the 76 here.
Atta boy. I think he's got it done. Or at the very least, he has a bit more overlap. I think Wyatt's almost giving Kale a little bit of draft here to try to help him out. Kale ducks back in line. Does not quite have it. Just want to shout out a bit farther back. Matthew Nordberg is approaching the rear of Edward Sanchez, but they are not as close as these two are at the moment. Excuse me, not as close as Jason and Wyatt were, but something I will certainly have my eye on in case it gets more exciting.
Certainly something to keep an eye on. So laps continuing to tick away here from Indianapolis. 14 to go as they run. Daniel Nanny looking for win number 5 on the season. Currently sits about 2.5 seconds clear of teammate R. Muhammad Alif. Reese Bayham from Auburn sits in 3rd. Jake Cummings from Converse in 4th. And Jared Kaler from UNC Charlotte rounding out your top 5. Halterman, Smith, Williams, Moody, and Calick, your top 10. And we've been watching this battle just outside of it. This battle for P12, Wyatt Burton and Jason Wallet have been putting on a show here in the closing laps of this one. This, of course, being the HC Thompson 200 at the Brickyard, presented by Orange Wheel Racing.
Yeah, someone in our chat just said good racing. I would have to agree. I think this has been good, respectful stuff, especially for a track as tough to tame as Indianapolis. We've been witnessing some really good action as that gap farther back between Sanchez and Nordberg has grown. But I mean, up in the top 10, when the closest gap we have to look at is Clint Halterman to Jared Kaler. at about 4/10. I am more than happy to continue looking at Jason and Wyatt go side by side, lap after lap after lap after lap.
Yeah, they have just been gloves off, bare knuckle fist fighting lap after lap. It's been fantastic stuff to watch. While it had the inside position, but washed up out of the corner a little bit, going to give Burton the edge, who's going to move on down, and Wallet had to check up a little bit, getting into turn 2. Otherwise, the two of them might have come together. So that has opened the door for Burton to once again take over P12. They just cannot get this one settled for who's going to be 12th and who's going to be 13th.
I mean, I think eventually, coming out of an even-numbered corner, one of these two is going to smack. Nope, it was an odd-numbered corner. It smacked the wall. Here comes Kale.
Oh,
right when I say even-numbered corner to sound smart, they proved me wrong.
Well, the pass was made in the even-numbered corner, but it was set up when Jason Wallet hammered the short chute wall off of turn 3. Luckily, he didn't get any significant damage, I don't think, but it did open the door for Cale Davidson to jump into P13. And now, once again, the two open-wheel regulars here in the CIL making their stock car runs here tonight. Currently running nose-to-tail, 12th and 13th. Cale Davidson in the 21, trying to track down Wyatt Burton in the 3.
It's a little unfortunate that I wasn't part of this battle because, frankly speaking, in the Cup Series, I am about a low teens driver. I probably would have been a part of this. This would have been the ultimate FC battle for Cup supremacy. But for the time being, looks like Jason is not able to successfully do his short chute move to Cale. And Cale sets his sights on Wyatt Burton in front of him with only 11 laps to go.
Yeah, we are winding down here.
Oh,
they are leaning on each other. Drew Williams, Lucas Moody. The battle for 8th is getting physical. Moody on the inside of the 13, Williams on the high side of the 100 machine. I've not seen these two battle much on track yet tonight, and the moment we cut to them, they are leaning on each other, something fierce. Side draft there for the short chute.
And the short chute is crazy.
And we are going to try to see how they get this sorted here. Boy, they are not giving each other any room out there. Williams able to hold on to P8 for now, but Lucas Moody is really going after that spot.
I noticed Lucas there turn the wheel right ever so slightly to get closer to Drew in the short chute. That was crazy. That was certainly something. I think those two's respective paint schemes are now rubbed off on each other's cars at this point. Let's see if Lucas can hit 209 with the power of friendship again here. He gets close. Is he going to pull out a line? He hits 192 with, I don't know if that's the power of friendship. That's the power of, I don't know.
That might be the power of your
rivalry.
Your cross,
power of rivalry.
Cross alliance rivalry. Yeah.
There we go.
Lucas Moody there trying to track down Drew Williams. He's got a couple of teammates running first and second right
Brent
now.
Halterman is really close to Jared. They're side by side, farther up ahead. That's for 5th.
There's a good little battle going between teammates.
All it took was for the lap counter to be single digits again, and now we've got like excellent racing everywhere. Cale's passed Wyatt Burton.
Action all over the place as this is going. A good little battle here, though. Halterman and Kaler. This is the battle for the final spot in the top 5. Halterman on the inside, Kaler on the outside.
And now Keegan Kalen's involved in the Drew Lucas battle. And I think, has Clint cleared Jared yet? No. What the heck just happened?
We've got all types of action out on this track right now. You see, that is Kaler up high, winner here a couple years ago. Halterman, winner from a couple weeks ago, trying to make that pass. Not giving each other any room. Boy,
this is going to be a very fun roommate conversation in about 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be even more fun if something happens with they put each other in the fence with how hard they're running each other at the moment.
Still side by side. I think farther back, Cale has gapped Wyatt and Jason a little bit. No. Did Cale do tire saving? If I ask Kale if he tire saves and he says yes, I'm going to congratulate him very thoroughly because that is intelligent driving for an FC transfer if he did what I think he did. Drew Williams is still just narrowly ahead of Lucas Moody and Keegan Kalick. Jared Kaler stays ahead of Clint Halterman. Clint is doing everything he can to stay in the draft.
Yeah, he is just glued to the back bumper of the 58 right now, but that charge to try to get around his teammate doesn't look like it'll come to fruition that time by. They are well off of race leader Daniel Nanny as we jump back to this battle here. 8th, 9th, and 10th. That's Drew Williams, Lucas Moody, and Keegan Kalick just behind him. Tell you what, it's been a phenomenal turn 2. Hammered that outside wall.
Keegan Kalick's going to have a shot here. Decides not to do it. Still 25 or so corners to try again later. Nick Henley's not terribly far away from Brennan Lyman. Matthew Nordberg got passed by Andrew Burrell not many laps ago. Clint is side by side with Jared again into turn 1. A lap car helped him with that.
Oh, and they almost make contact there coming out of turn 1.
Keegan Kalick side by side with Lucas. All right, you stay here, Alex, and I'll talk about Keegan.
Oh boy, Clint got super loose out of turn 2. And now they are weaving down the back straightaway. I can't tell if they're out to get each other or they're just having a good time here running 5-6.
Inside of Brennan, that's for 16th. He makes that move stick. That move's done. Good grief. What happened? The lap counter really just said 10 to go, and the drivers decided now they would try. I guess they looked at their fuel gauge and went, oh yeah, there was a yellow, we're fine, and then decided to go for it.
Certainly
Lucas
seems like it.
Kalick are side by side again.
Here we go once again. Battle for 9th. Keegan Kalick from St. Clair on the inside. Lucas Moody of Ball State running up high. It's been a sneaky good day for the driver of the 29. Keegan Kalick started inside the top 10. Has basically run inside the top 10 all evening long and is battling for P9 here in the closing laps. We've only got 5 laps to go as they are sliding off of 2.
Wyatt Burton side by side with Jason a hair farther back. I don't know what I want to look at. The day we get CIL multi-view figured out is the day that things get significantly better. I mean, I imagine that's not very easy to do, but today
also
would
not
be a good
particularly
day for it.
cost effective. I feel like most tracks we don't necessarily need the multi-view, but today has proven that to be
who the
an
heck was
exception. That was Ethan
I
Decatur who just hammered the wall on the short shoot there.
Yeah, you'd probably need 2 separate instances of iRacing being broadcast for that to be possible. That's probably a pain in the butt. As Jason gets really close to Wyatt, where's Kale? Kale has run away from those two. Clint's got the focus face on. Look at that.
Boy, he is locked in. I don't know if he's breathing right now. He's locked in.
Oh, now he's chatting. I can confirm, as the collegiate sports car... Oh,
they get into each other.
Contact! Jared's still loose. Clint's smiling.
They almost wiped out the double top 10 for UNC Charlotte in an instant right there.
I would like
and Reese Bayham's down pit road.
Uh-oh.
He came down 2 laps before Daniel Nanny and Muhammad Alif. And he has come down pit road with 3 laps to go. This all of a sudden puts a massive question mark on if the leaders can make it on fuel.
Yeah, because he pit only 2 laps before the likes of Alif and Nanny. Clint's still side by side. I hope these two are looking at their fuel gauge. I'm going to be really mad at them if they both throw away like top 5s because they were too busy fighting each other.
Well, the other thing they got to keep an eye on is that if they absolutely wipe each other out here and the 2 Ball State cars in front run out of fuel, they would almost certainly be throwing away a potential podium run here if those 2 cannot make it. But, I mean, look at that. I mean, they just are just leaning on each other each and every corner.
They're probably both laughing their butts off, too, to be honest. As Jason Wallet and Wyatt Burton continue to go side by side for P12, that's Lucas. Lucas is not in a crazy fight right now after that kerfuffle with Drew has ended. But I forgot to
board
shout
here
out
with Clint.
the sequential shifter Clint bought there for the Winter Supercar Series of the Collegiate Sports Car Challenge. Just wanted to throw that out there. As Jason Wallet and Wyatt continue to fight.
Closing in within a car length here as they make their way into 3. Does Clint try to run it in? Not that time around. And that does mean we are going to get the white flag coming around this time by for race leader Daniel Nanny. The question mark remains, will he have enough fuel to finish this race? White flag in the air, presented by the McConey Setup Shop. Your home for setups, paint schemes, coaching, and more.
His gap back to our Muhammad Alif has shrunk a little bit, so I think Nanny's having to think about fuel, but I don't think he's panicking. As that gap is just under 2 seconds. As we keep our eyes locked on the battle between Clint Halterman and Jared Kaler, I truthfully don't think Clint has really had anything to show against Jared. He's been able to close that gap, but as the great former F1 commentator once said, it's one thing to catch up, it's quite another to pass. As here comes Daniel Nanny.
Gonna try to finish this thing out, and he shall. Winner here today at the Yard of Bricks. Daniel Nanny wins it today for Ball State, his 5th win of the season. They had just enough fuel to make it to the end. And looks like Jared Kaler is going to hold off Clinton Halterman in that battle for 5th. What a battle it was.
And I think Logan Smith ran out of gas close to the line. I don't know what position he was. Yeah, Logan fell back behind the likes of Lucas, Kelton Quick, and Cale Davidson in the race results. So I think Logan had to coast it to the line. As Wyatt Burton emerges 13th after looking at him so much today. Cale Davidson, top 10. P10 for Cale. Excellent result for the FC transfer. Yeah, that's a fantastic.
I mean, really for both of them. Both of them top 15s.
Yeah, honestly, both of them put on, I mean, the best show all night. But Daniel Nanny does it. This is what, number 6 on the season?
Number 5. And,
number 5?
Race 8 of the year for the series. Win number 5 for Daniel Nanny. I mean, this is just a man on a mission this year. Won races 2, 3, and 4. He can add races 7 and 8 to his name. Last week, Pocono. And now tonight, Indianapolis, the Yard of Bricks.
He's gotten pretty good at doing these donuts. I mean, truth be told, we can expect Ball State University to set aside their homework for a week and practice when the CIL goes to Indianapolis, as that is their home race. But it looks like a lot of that team decided to ignore their homework assignments this week and put up some good results in the country. Well, it's spring break for a lot of places.
5 top 10s for Ball State tonight. I want to say they finished 1st, 2nd, 8th, 9th, and 10th. If I'm reading that right?
That's correct. Yeah, 5 of the top 10 is Ball State. So, I mean, I might need to look up when their spring break is, but if it's not this week, then I need to fuss at them for ignoring their assignments.
Well, folks, we are going to step away for a quick commercial break. When we come back, it'll be interviews with your podium finishers, as well as tonight's race results from the HC Thompson 200 presented by Orange Wheel Racing. We're going to be right back.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Makoni.
With the launch of Makoni Entertainment and Makoni Competizone alongside Makoni Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MakoniSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Makoni Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Hello, my name's Aaron Brown from the Garage Shop in Denver, North Carolina. We're here at the famous Bonneville Speedway in Wendover, Utah. One of the most harshest environments on the planet to race in, and that's why we need the best tools Snap-on has to offer. What we use here to pump up the oil in our race engines to prime them is this Snap-on screw gun. With its variable speed and high torque, this allows us to spin our oil pumps up to 1,500 RPMs, creating 70 pounds of oil pressure, which helps us get everything settled in, nice and happy, and turn the hot oil through the engine. Compact, lightweight, and able to fit in really tight spaces. Its 9-position clutch allows us to torque things, nuts, bolts, from 8-inch to 50-inch pounds. Small size and high performance helps us get into many places on a race car where normal tools can't. Under the dash and the engine compartment, we also use this to drill a lot of holes in very tight spots.
Welcome back, folks. Just wrapping up the H.R. Thompson 200 at the Brickyard. It's been a fun one here tonight. We're going to jump right into our post-race interviews, jumping on board here with our race winner, Daniel Nanny. Hey there, Daniel. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
I feel like I should just be setting a time aside on a Google Calendar for the two of us to chat at the end of each of these races the way we're going at the moment, man. Win number 5 on the year. I mean, you are just crushing it this year. I guess I'll ask you first, what led to you being able to get out front and stay out front tonight?
I just qualifying on pole and keeping the clean air. That's all that mattered.
Well, I mean, tell you what, it certainly worked. I've got to ask you, was this a race? Obviously, it's the home race for Ball State. Did y'all put in a lot of practice this week? Because I was going through the results, and it looks like you guys got 4 or 5 drivers in the top 10. I mean, that is incredibly impressive work from the team.
Yeah, we knew that we wanted to win this race for Ball State since it was the home race. So, yeah, we put in a lot of practice, and I am so proud of everybody. You know, at least finishing in second, and then, you know, Carol, Lucas, and Colton rounding out the top 10. That is just impressive. I am so proud of them.
I mean, it's been a phenomenal effort for you guys today. But I mean, I can't not highlight the fact that obviously, 5 wins this year. You came into today with a slim points lead, but the points lead nonetheless. That is certainly going to expand after tonight. Another weekend, or I guess another race day per se, where you did everything you could do. Led the most laps, took the pole, got the win. Got to imagine you're feeling really confident with how this season has been going to this point.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident. I'm feeling amazing. 5 wins on the season. I was not anticipating that, but yeah, I'm just happy to finally break out here, and, my goal is to win the championship, and that's what I'm aiming for.
Well, I tell you what, you can't really be setting yourself up any better than what you're doing right now. And I'll just give you a little bit of something to chase after here the rest of the year. If my math serves me correctly, the most wins any driver has picked up in one season is 6, and that was Matthew Morton a couple seasons ago. So I wish you the best of luck in trying to match or surpass that. I mean, at the rate you're going, it could be 2 weeks from now. We'll be having
Yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, 2 weeks from now, we'll be racing on my birthday at Iowa. So let's hope and see that I make history.
That would be a ton of fun and be a fun birthday present for you, I'm sure. Daniel, anyone you'd like to shout out for the win here tonight?
I got to shout out the entire Ball State organization, especially the entire simulation team for putting in so much work and to come home with the 1-2 and 5 out of the top 10. I am just so proud of them, and I can't believe that we are on a roll right now. And yeah, I got to shout out the sponsors on the car, Pepsi, RL, and all the great sponsors you see on the car. And last but not least, I got to shout out my parents for watching all these races. And I know they're blowing up my phone right now, so can't wait to talk to them and have fun.
Alrighty, well, Daniel, thank you so much for dropping by. I mean, congrats on the season that just continues to get better and better for you. And I have no doubt if you're going to keep up this current run of form that we'll be talking to you again next week.
Thank you guys so much.
And that was race winner Daniel Nanny, who picks up the 5th victory of the season for him in that 30 team. Ball State's 6th win of the year, too, counting Kelton Quick's win at Daytona a few weeks ago. But I mean, it's just been a phenomenal run of form for them as of late. And now standing by with Ryan is our second place finisher, R. Muhammad Alif.
Hey, Alif, this is Ryan up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Seemed like a decent race for you, but you certainly had to make that P2 happen. As we're looking on screen, you had quite the battle with Reese Bam for quite a lot of that race. Just tell us how your race went.
Yeah, it was a very interesting race. Given it's our home race, we had to make sure we pulled up and showed what we had, and glad we did with the 1-2. Yeah, the race was very interesting. It was just tire saving and fuel saving. I think Daniel and myself really nailed it down in terms of how much we could push. And yeah, when Reese went past us or went past me, I was like, because he kind of pitted 1 lap earlier than me, so I knew that he was not gonna make it on fuel. So I thought he would want to stay behind me to save fuel, but wasn't the case. So yeah, I just let him go in front, 10, 15 laps, and then I knew his tires would just fall off. So I got him back after that. So and then from then on, it was just smooth sailing. I was just praying that there was no cautions, and yeah, no cautions, full green, and yeah, good 1-2.
Yeah, and you mentioned how this was a home race for Ball State University. Most of us, I imagine, expected you guys to put in the work, put in the practice to make it happen. And not that I necessarily want to give you anything more to brag about, but just so you know, Ball State was 5 of the top 10 in today's race. How do you feel about that?
Very, very good. Considering last week was our spring break, so I think almost none of us had any practice because everyone went back home. So given that, and Kale, it's his first ever cup race to come in P10. Yeah, just shows how strong we are. And yeah, just big thanks to the whole team, especially Daniel for kind of leading the team and showing us what to do, and yeah, pushing us forward.
Yeah, well, once again, congrats on the good result on the 1-2. I'm sure you would have liked to be at the top step of the podium, but a good result for you nonetheless. Anybody want to give a shout out to, give some thanks to that maybe Daniel hasn't already?
Yeah, I mean the street track is coming up, so anytime there's a right turn, in the cup car.
Watch out.
So they, we were just joking with it. I was joking with the team. We should rename that as "Give Alif a Chance" Chicago Street Track or something. So, but yeah, big shout out to the whole team. I think BK is watching right now. Dan Marino is our esports director. Daniel Budaspar, who's our sports psychologist. Big shout out to him. Kale's right beside me, who got his first top 10 cup. Big shout out. Kelton as well. No practice for the whole week. Missed out Pocono. Finished P9. And Rocket League's captain, Luke Long, aka Wolva, is right beside me. He was watching as well, so big shout out. And big shout out to my parents and you guys.
Well, once again, great result. Thanks for being here. And before I let you go ahead and can you snatch off Kale's hat for me? Because I know he's wearing a hat.
Yeah, Kale, they want your head. They want your head.
Me specifically, but
yeah, Ryan wants your head.
All right.
Yeah.
Good result.
You want his I hate school head, right?
All right. Well, I'll hand it over to Alex for our P3 finisher in today's race, one Jake Cummings.
Hey there, Jake. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, welcome back to the podium, my man. Seems like all things considered, after you made a couple moves in the opening few laps of the race, seems like it kind of quieted down a little bit and you were just kind of doing your thing. But at least that was from what we were seeing up here. Did you feel the same way, or did we just miss all the fun stuff tonight?
Yeah, I can tell you're really struggling for questions to ask me. Because it was a really clean race. Yeah. Yeah, it was. I didn't get a lot of practice, but it didn't. The Ball State guys, Daniel and Alif, they seem to have a lot better grasp on how to keep the rears under control. They're really straightening their exits out, and I hadn't practiced that, so I wasn't really sure what to do. And they were really rapid on the long runs because I felt like I was doing a pretty decent job, but they were gapping me like crazy. But then everyone behind me was falling back as well. So everyone was kind of in their own slot, and we all were kind of like, it was like first and second, then third, and then you had little groups going all the way back. And it was interesting to look on the track map. I never saw it with my eyes, but yeah, I don't know. I wasn't sure how I was gonna go today. Was it gonna be a caution fest, or last time we were here was we got a pretty good long run and then there was chaos at the end. So I'm kind of glad that we had a green run all the way through. It was a much better rebound from last week with those issues, and now the drop week's in there, and I can just forget it happened. But yeah, it was about what you were saying. The only interesting thing for me on that second stint was I wasn't sure if Reese was going to be able to make it or not. I didn't think so because I was having a fuel save, pitting 2 laps later than him to make it to the end safely. So yeah, he pitted with 2 laps to go as well, and I was like, okay, that's cool. We got the podium on the lock, and that's all you can really ask for. Daniel, I mean, he is my main competition right now, but I'm not. I don't have anything for him today, so just not damage limitation because the 30s are still really good, but just stay as close as I can. All things considered, and just wait for those opportunities that maybe he gets some misfortune or I get some good fortune or something, and see what happens a little later in the season. We're only just past halfway, so he is if all goes like this the rest of the season, he's kind of running away with it though. But I had fun. It was a solid, clean, quick race, and I'm glad I can get to bed a little earlier tonight.
Yeah, I mean, that is honestly, I think, been the theme of the past couple races. I mean, we've had some honestly fairly clean past couple. I mean, New Atlanta didn't have a single caution, only the one here tonight. They've been starting to fly by a little bit faster, which has certainly been a weird one. But you were talking a little bit about the kind of the idea of like damage limitation and the points. And obviously, a podium finish here tonight is going to keep you in the mix. But with the way the 30 ran today, certainly going to open up that lead just a little bit. But you still find yourself very much in the thick of it. Do you like the tracks that are coming up for you in that points hunt, or is there some tracks that you're going to have to put some extra work into?
Well, next week is Vegas. I don't remember what's after that. Iowa?
I believe
Iowa?
so, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So Las Vegas I'm
Iowa,
looking forward to. Kentucky is a weird one. Las Vegas I'm looking forward to, yeah. I mean, that was where we had the championship race, and I didn't get a lot of luck there, but the pace was really good, especially in the long run. So if the setup is similar to that and the conditions are similar, I don't remember if it's a day or a night race, but if it's similar to what we were doing for the championship race, I'm feeling really good for it. Iowa, well, hopefully the setup that McConey gives us is better than the fixed one with the no side force, because that was tricky. But it'll be interesting to see if we don't know yet, but they were talking about the refresh coming for Iowa and a host of other Cup Series tracks, and it mentioned that it was probably going to have the partial repave in turns 1 and 2. So we don't really know what it's going to be like. If it's like that, it's totally going to change the flow of the race and the lines and everything. It'll be really interesting. And then Kentucky, it's a fun track. Should get some really good long runs there. Yeah, I'm not worried about any of them. I think Las Vegas will be my favorite of the next 3 coming up. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's how it's evolved. It used to be, oh, I'm looking forward to this type of track because it's the only one where I can consistently be up at the front. But now it's like you're going to be up there in pretty much every single race. You're not really going to be struggling at any of them. Is what I found out, which was very fortunate. But there are some where they used to be, oh, I'm going to get a podium here, and I always be super excited for it. But now it's almost expected to be like top 5, top 8 at the very least. So it's a good problem to have. But yeah, I'm looking forward to not just the tracks, but just the clean racing we've been having. It's been really great.
It has been a ton of fun indeed up here. I'm glad it's coming across the same way for you actually running the tracks. Jake, thanks for jumping up here in the booth with us. Anyone you'd like to shout out here tonight on the podium finished?
Yeah, thanks to you guys. I hope you were able to entertain yourself for long enough tonight. Thank you to Converse Esports. Hopefully they were watching my stream. I was doing it unlisted today because of some things that happened last week. But anyways, and thank you to Tech Sport Academy. I mentioned this on the Formula stream last week, but we just got done with it was about a week ago now. We got done with a track day event at Carolina Motorsports Park. In a Subaru BRZ T3 car, which was a ton of fun. Dream come true. Yeah. You can find something about it in the media center thing, but that was really cool, and we're looking to build upon that to get some more opportunities for sim racers for sure, which is always great, no matter what discipline you're in. But yeah, and thanks to you guys again.
Awesome. Well, Jake, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the track day, and hopefully we get to talk to you again next week.
Hopefully. Yeah, have a good night.
You too. That was third place finisher here tonight, Jake Cummings. But we have one more interview for you while we're hanging here, and that is Ryan is catching up with our alumni class winner, Clint Halterman.
Hey, Clint, it's Ryan up in the booth. You got me?
I got you, Ryan.
All right, last but certainly not least, our alumni winner. Just tell us a little bit about your race. In particular, you going side by side, making contact, rubbing your paint scheme off on Jared's. Just tell me a little bit about that.
I was going to say, I really, really hope the broadcast caught that. I was like the last 9-10 laps, and that was just a insanely fun duel. Big props to Jared. Obviously, Jared's probably the guy I've raced. He's my roommate, so I've raced with him a ton. So I know how he races. I know we can race each other clean. Yeah, and even be a little bit rub fenders a little bit there and still be okay. But man, that was just a blast. It was I was just sliding the tires like in turn 2 and 4 every time trying to get a run, and I just I didn't quite have it. I think he had like he told me like 10% better tire wear on his right front and right rear tires, so he could drive it in deeper, and that outside I think helped him. So I just couldn't drive it in deep enough to really clear him or anything going into turn 1 or turn 3. But gosh, that was probably one of the most fun battles I've ever had. I'll need to watch back the broadcast because that was just I was slipping and sliding all over the place. I felt like I was driving a mid 2000s NASCAR. I had 900 horsepower and 0 downforce. That's what it felt like, and it was awesome. We were both just sweating it out those last 9-10 laps.
Yeah, don't worry, Clint. I made the broadcast very aware that you and Jared were roommates, and I think Alex and I made a couple of jokes about if these two wreck each other, it's going to be a very interesting conversation post-race. But yeah, interesting strategy. Just talk a little bit about fuel and tires and just kind of how that affected your race, and maybe in a specific way.
Yeah, after that first caution, that really helps with the fuel strategy. I think fuel went about 38 laps, 39 laps, something like that. So we knew we were going to need some help or save something to make it there. And if it went caution free, it was going to be, saving really hard the first and second stint. So getting that caution on lap 1 really helped save some gas. I was shutting the car off and doing everything. And then I think I pushed a little bit for maybe the first 8 to 10 laps. But then after that, I started just riding in 5th gear, and that doubly helps. 1, it helped save gas, and 2, it helped save the rear tires too, because that was the main thing. Is the rear tires were the right rear specifically was the limiting factor. Trying to get off the corners, you really needed the rear tire, and keeping it in 5th for that long really helped me protect that tire. And that's kind of how I got back. I got past Drew at one point. I was able to gap him, and then I started closing in a little bit on Jared. I was able to just riding in 5th gear and saving that tire, and that also allowed me and Jared and a couple other people. We went a lap longer than the leaders like Nanny and Alif and Jake. Doing that really helped on the back end because I didn't have to save any gas at all. On the final stint, I still kept it in 5th gear because I knew it was gonna be a long run, trying to protect the rear tire. And even though I guess I did because Jared said he was about 10% better on the right rear than me. I don't know how. Then it seemingly had better pace than him. I mean, I was just able to push harder on those tires somehow. But that kind of helped me get up to him. And yeah, so definitely was sticking in 5th, save the gas, save the rear tires. That was the strategy tonight.
Well, before we let you go, is there anybody you want to shout out? Remember the title sponsor of the race.
Right, of course. I always remember this, Ryan. Nick pays me well and doesn't pay me a thing. But shout out to Orange Wheel Racing, of course. Really glad to. Looks like we got 3 cars in the top 10. Actually finished 4th to 6th. That's pretty cool. And of course, shout out to Jared because that was just a blast. That was such a fun battle. And then shout out to, of course, everyone that makes these races possible in the broadcast team. So yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us up here in the booth. Good race. I imagine you and Jared are going to have a fun conversation as roommates, and thankfully not a difficult one. Alex and I were worried about that one, but good talking to you.
No one's getting knocked out, but yeah. See ya. Thank you guys.
And that was Clint Halterman from UNC Charlotte, finishing as the alumni winner in tonight's race, Alex.
Absolutely. That'll bring us to tonight's final results. Thank you to everyone who's sticking around. You are going to want to see where everyone's settled out here tonight. Daniel Nanny picks up the win by about 2.5 seconds over his teammate Muhammad Alif. Jake Cummings brings it home 3rd for Converse. Jared Kaler and Clint Halterman round out the double UNC Charlotte top 5 here with a 4th and 5th place finish after Reese Bayham had to pit late in this one. Drew Williams will bring it home 6th. Keegan Calix 7th for St. Clair College. Lucas Moody 8th. Kelton Quick 9th. And Cale Davidson in his Cup debut with a top 10 finish for Ball State University. 5 in the top 10 there.
Here we are, P11. Jason Wallet just narrowly avoids the top 10. Wyatt Burton, Cup debutant. P12, Reese Bayham from Auburn University. P13 after starting well. Edward Sanchez recovers to P14 from Baruch. Nick Hanley, Ball State University, P15. Brandon Lyman from the University of Colorado, Denver, makes his Cup debut, finishes 16th. Good result for him. Logan Smith falls back, runs out of gas, Auburn University, P17. Andrew Burrell, P18 from Clemson University, the first to finish a lap down, with Nick Stockner, Clemson University teammate, finishes 19th. Matthew Nordberg, P20 from NC State University.
21st tonight is going to be Cade Corbin in the 08 machine from UAH. Nolan Starkey finishes 22nd tonight. Trey Lamprecht, 23rd. Wesley Shaw, 24th here tonight. Josh Staley in the 25th position. Ethan Decatur will finish 26th, just ahead of Andrew McGill. Roger Primo finishes 28th. Michael James, 29th. And Andrew Voigt rounds out your top 30.
31st is Spencer Brown from Carolina. Caleb Winslow finishes 32nd for East Carolina University. Connor Zabosian, not a great day from Kettering, finishes 33rd. Benjamin Eller, after early contact from Ball State University, finishes 34th. And Landon Velicki ends his day early from Auburn University in 35th.
And that is the field here tonight. And with that, that's just about going to bring us to the tail end of our coverage here tonight from virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Ryan, I want to thank you for filling in here tonight, and any final thoughts for the folks watching at home?
Nothing in particular. Just things really did get exciting there towards the end. The moment the lap counter was no longer double digits is the day the moment everyone went crazy. Next race, Las Vegas. Looking forward to that. I think the only thing left to do is mention what is next in the CIL schedule.
And that is coming up on the screen right now. Next week, we are headed to Las Vegas Motor Speedway for Race 9 of the Garage Shop College Cup Series calendar. That'll be March 17th. Little St. Patrick's Day special from Nevada. Coverage starting at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on the CIL YouTube. If you don't want to wait that long for the next race here of Collegiate iRacing League action, this Wednesday, March 12th, Formula College is headed to Montreal for Race 8 of their FC season. Coverage starting there at 8:45 p.m. Eastern.
Also worth noting that tomorrow, no broadcast, but you can keep track of it on socials, is the second race of the season, Short Track Showdown at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Not to brag, but to brag a little bit, I won Southern National and am currently the points leader in that. So like I said, no broadcast, but keep an eye out for the socials. And next week, on Thursday the 20th, the Collegiate Sports Car Challenge goes to a wet and rainy Sebring International Raceway. So that is going to be a busy race for the series that, again, not to brag, but I think has been putting up some of the best participation numbers all year. We'll see how 40 or so, 50 or so cars navigate a wet Sebring International Raceway. That is round 3 of the Collegiate Sports Car Challenge.
And that is going to be a fun one, no doubt about it. But with that, that is going to wrap tonight's coverage here of the HG Thompson 200 at the Brickyard, presented by Orange Wheel Racing. We've had a fun one here tonight for Race 8 of this Garage Shop College Cup Series calendar, and next week we'll head to Vegas to do it all again. So for everybody here at the CIL, for producer Christian Hill, co-commentator Ryan Whitlock, and myself, Alex Gagnon, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in tonight's coverage of Indy. Thank you, and we will see you Wednesday for FC and next Monday for the next race at Vegas.